My intuition says that you are a good person, ya Ismail Yassi. And I see your being in prison is considered unfair. You devote most of your time to others.
Thank you, Yeshua, for praising my behavior. Very few people can see me from that perspective. They evaluate my contribution based on whether I present them a pleasurable time on the short term and not on how I can be useful to them on the long term.
It is not only the fault of the people, media platforms, for practicality and commerciality, do not care about the content, and they care only about what the people like. It is an absolute freedom resulting in an absolute mess. Apart from this dilemma, what you are going to present today?
Today, I plan to talk about how to arrive at the accounts receivable carrying amount using the allowance method. Allowance method attempts to match credit loss expense with a related revenue. This method is required by the generally accepted accounting principles.
What is the periodic journal entry to record credit loss expense?
The journal entry is, credit loss expense is debited and allowance for credit losses is credited.
How the established allowance for credit losses is used?
As specific accounts receivable are written off, they are charged to the allowance account by the following journal entry: debit for allowance for credit losses and credit accounts receivable. Thus, the write-off of particular account has no effect on expenses. Also, write-offs do not affect the carrying amount of the net accounts receivable balance, because reductions of gross account receivable and allowance are the same.
How the accounts receivable carrying amount is reported in the balance sheet?
In the balance sheet, the carrying amount of accounts receivable is reported at the net amount expected to be collected. This means that the carrying amount of accounts receivable equals gross accounts receivable minus allowance of credit losses.
Are there different approaches to calculating the amount charged to credit loss expense under the allowance method?
Under the allowance method, the two approaches to calculating the amount charged to credit loss expense are the income statement approach and the balance sheet approach. We will discuss these two approaches in the next session.
Ismail, I am sorry, because other prisoners are passing by, I am obligated to call you bad names. Stand up, ya Rafate he, ya Ibn al Rafate he, ya Sanam, ya Ibn al Sanam, ya Bagame, ya Ibn al Bagame.